This week I want to tell you about a fascinating business which I just purely by chance stumbled into, and it's really a way that you can make huge sums of money very, very quickly. And believe it or not, I'm actually doing this right now. Basically, it all started about a month ago. I bumped into this guy at an event I was filming, and he did a very short talk on something called local marketing. And you know, basically, we've all heard of local business marketing, and it's a big kind of thing at the moment in internet marketing. I'd never really taken it seriously. I'd never really given it much thought. But what this guy was saying absolutely made sense. What he was saying was, you know, as internet marketers, we all have these skills, things we learn, we buy courses, we have keyword software, we have a knowledge base that is greater than a lot of, you know, very large corporate companies. And you know, within these large corporate companies, there is a huge amount of ignorance. And basically, you know, they get their web design companies to build them websites, and they just don't rank in Google. And then you've got the other side of it, local business, you know, really, really local businesses, people at the end of your road who used to pay a lot of money to advertise in Yellow Pages. Well, guess what? You know, as you may know, Yellow Pages is dying. I know, you know, in my area, when I used to get a Yellow Pages, say 10 years ago, it used to be, you know, really thick book, A4 book. However, I received Yellow Pages the other day, and it was A5, and it was about that thin, like a magazine. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you that these people who used to advertise in Yellow Pages just aren't doing it anymore. And these guys are people who are used to spending money to advertise. So anyway, I interviewed this guy, Rob. I actually filmed the interview as well. And during the interview, it was just clicking in my head. I just thought, this makes sense, this makes sense. And after the interview, I actually went away and took action. And I've actually got now 4 local business, basically local businesses who are paying me money to get their sites onto the front page of Google. It's amazing. I've actually just completed one job, and I've made over £1,000, really just for a couple of days' work. Very, very quick, easy cash. And that was because I took action. Anyway, have a look at the video. Let me know what you think. You know, and if you have any suggestions, any tips for anyone who's watching the video, leave them below the video. And if you have any, you know, basically, if you have any questions, you know, questions you'd like to ask me about how I'm actually doing this now, leave your comments below the video, and I will answer your questions as best as I can. Okay, so what Rob is actually doing here is he's approaching local businesses like a local carpenter, a motor mechanic, and he's basically just replacing the Yellow Pages. He's building little micro niche websites targeted around keywords. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so they might already have a big corporate website already, and very, you know, like you said, they're very proud of it. It's called the name of the site's got nothing to do with what people are searching for in Google.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point of what I'm doing is I'm building them a small little website, only 3 pages. I build it in a WordPress platform. I use their branding on that page. It's very important that if you want something to relate to that customer, you need to make sure you use that branding. Also make sure that I do a welcome video so you get the personal touch. People want the personal touch because they want to know it's local and personal. So the whole point about it is really that I'm trying to take it from a big, large catchment area, bring it into a nice, tight niche, but make it personalised, make it what people want.
Right, I'm going to stop you right there because I just want to let you guys know this is a fantastic way to replace your day job. Now, Rob told me earlier that he's charging £500 to do this, which, you know, is not a lot of work. I mean, how long does it take you? I mean, you said it was a few hours work, wasn't it?
I average now to build each site 1.5 hours.
Yeah, 1.5 hours, £500, pretty good. So you're charging £500. So you wouldn't need to, which is about $800. So you wouldn't need to build many of these sites or get many of these customers every month to replace your day job. It's a fantastic way of making money. Okay, so step 1, we find the customer, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about earlier finding customers, because obviously this is the bit people stumble on in local marketing, because we're internet marketers, we're not used to approaching businesses, and we've all had emails saying, you know, we can offer SEO services, and what's the first thing we do? We hit delete. We get the phone call from some Indian consultancy company saying we can, you know, promote your listings in Google, we can get you on page 1. You don't want to talk to them. So step 1, to get that customer, how do you get that customer?
Well, getting that first customer is a lot easier than you think. Now, this bit's going to hurt because people don't like this bit, but you do your first one for free. How many people, or I'll ask you this one simple question, do you know other business people? Do you know people that have got businesses? The answer is yes, you do. Everyone does.
Even
So-
like your local hairdresser or something, or your
Exactly.
local mechanic who's fixed your car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just approach them and say, look, I've got this thing that I want to do. I'll build you 3 little flycatcher sites. Tell them the concept. That's the trick here. Get them to buy into the concept. Say you'll do it for free. Do it for free. I mean, what does it actually realistically cost you? You're talking £6 for a domain name for 2 years. If you've already got hosting, it doesn't really cost you anything else on hosting, and it's time. That's all you're really putting into it. The whole point about doing it free is when you commit yourself, it makes you get off your arse and take action.
And it's also word of mouth, because if you've done a good job for them, they're going to tell their friends.
Well, you make that a condition of the thing. You say, I'll do this for free for you, but you have to tell 5 other business owners. And let me tell you this, everyone worries about doing everything for free. In simple terms, business owners are big heads, and if they've got something to boast about, they're going to boast about it. And who they're going to boast about? They're going to boast about you, because you made it work.
Now, Rob knows what he's talking about, because he actually does this. And, when you did your first one for free, what happened?
It led to £9,000 worth of sales in my first month.
Wow, 9,000, that's like, 16, 17, maybe even $18,000. So that just gives you an idea of the scope of it. Okay, so we got our customer. Step 2, we need to do some sort of keyword research. So let's pretend we're looking at, I don't know, let's say a motor mechanic at Heathrow, which we're near Heathrow Airport at the moment. So we're looking for, it's a motor mechanic down the road, Heathrow, keyword research. What would you do there?
Well, what I'd simply do is I'd go onto Google Keyword Tool, and I would type in motor mechanic Heathrow, and I would just see what permutations it brought up. I'd also type in a couple of other things. If there's something else in the local area, I'd type in that. I wouldn't just think motor mechanic. If they're a motor mechanic, are they doing servicing in Heathrow? I'd try to think what people are actually
Like
typing.
breakdown cover, windscreen replacement, things
Bit
like that.
Yeah. But what you'd find is, rather than motor mechanic Heathrow, people would type into search engines, well, in the UK anyway, they'll type in car repairs in Heathrow.
Yeah.
Because that's where they are. They're looking for a car repairer
Yeah.
in Heathrow. And what you're doing is you're just looking for them keywords. The other thing, and I know this is going to sound stupidly simple, ask. Just say to your friends, and say it out of hat. Just say, if you're in Google, what would you type in if you're looking for a garage? And you'd be amazed what responses you get. But as soon as you get 3 or 4 responses that are almost identical, you've nailed what people are looking for, and
So
then you can check it out.
So you've got your keywords. Say you've got 5 keywords, which you reckon are the best ones to go after. And then you're building separate websites for each one of these keywords, and you're using that keyword in the domain name. Is that correct?
Yeah, but the way I look at it again, it's about micro-niching, so they're long-tail keywords. I don't just look at one keyword, I look at stringing 2 or 3 keywords together, and that's really the trick, because you're driving targeted traffic to your websites.
So it wouldn't just be Motor Mechanics Heathrow, you'd have Motor Mechanics Heathrow, Fix
Well,
My Car Heathrow, all in one domain name, or would you
Yeah,
have 2 separate
I
domains?
would try to go for something like, garage repairs in Heathrow,
Yeah.
or mechanic in Heathrow. As examples, something like that, stringing the 3 of them together, and if you can, buying that domain string as all in one keyword. The other thing I would say is, in the UK we use .co.uk, and that's what you need to think about wherever in the world you are.
US in America.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or AU for Australia. Yeah.
Exactly, because your business is in your country, so your domain name should equal the country you're trying to relate that business to. Don't bother about .coms, .nets, .infos, .whatever. It's a waste of time. What you want to do is rank highly in the search engines for your actual country.
So for your £500 for you're charging the client, how many of these little microsites would you be building?
I only build 3.
So you just build 3 of these sites, and each one of these sites is like a little microsite which links back to the main site.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And what I find is that once people have had a taste of it, and they realise that it actually works,
Yeah.
and it builds them traffic, what do they come back for? More sites.
Yeah, and the best part is Rob builds all these sites using WordPress, and as you know, WordPress, very easy to rank for these sort of keywords in Google. In fact, if you build a WordPress site using one of these local search terms, which has virtually no competition, you'll probably end up on the front page 1 or page 2 of Google within a few days. I mean, is that what's happened with you?
Generally terms speaking,
Yeah.
within a week I'm normally on page 1.
Yeah.
All I ever promise people is that I'll get them onto the first 3 pages of Google. If I don't get you onto the first 3 pages, don't pay me, but as yet I haven't missed page 1 or page 2.
And then if you're on page 2 or 3, all you have to do is drive a couple of backlinks. I'm not talking about major SEO here, just a very, very tiny bit of SEO, and it might not even need that just to get it onto page 1 in Google, because again, you're talking about a keyword that has virtually no competition. You're suddenly throwing up an incredibly relevant site, and Google sees this, and so it's very easy to get these sites ranked in Google. Now, the other thing you can do, which we talked about earlier, is yes, you can charge them £500 to do this, but obviously you still own the domain names, you've got the hosting, and you're charging them an annual fee for this. I mean, Rob actually is a very nice guy, and he just charges them a very small amount for the domain name renewal each year, which is just a normal domain name renewal cost, isn't it? And a very, very small amount for hosting. But some people, I was talking to Simon Colson about this, and he was saying, well, maybe we should be charging them, £100 a month for this.
Yeah.
You could almost do the site for free, and then just charge them a monthly fee, like £100 a month or £200 a month. You could do that as well, couldn't you?
You could do, without doubt. But what I find is business owners like to know where they're standing up front. They like to know what their costs are, what they're paying out for. And like I said, I mean, if you keep it simple, you keep it honest, and you keep it up front, it generates work. It generates work by word of mouth. It generates work with these people coming back to you and asking you for even more. And, as I sort of explained before, I mean, it's now generated wholesale sites where I'm building online shops for customers, and these capture phrases around it, these little mini capture sites driving traffic into their online shops.
So you're obviously an expert then in website design if you're building online shops then?
Oh, totally not. No. What I know about computers, you can fit into a thimble and have room left for your finger.
Right, okay, so I'm outsourcing, and this is a guy who's saying he doesn't know much about computers and he's building online shops for people. So you're getting outsourcers to do all this?
I use outsourcers, and I also use shopping software that's out there already, which is called EK and PowerShop, and it's very simple to use. It gives the customers control, and that's what they like. I spend a little bit of time showing them how to do it, and I can charge them £5,000 for that service.
£5,000, and how much does it cost you to do?
Including all the outsourcing and everything else, about £1,500.
£1,500, you're charging £5,000. Now that's pretty good return on his money. And that was that business returning business, if you like? Had you done the £500 job for somebody, and then they came back and asked if you could do this big online shop for them?
No, this is me doing a £500 job for a customer, them telling someone else, and them coming to me and saying, Rob, can you do this? And my first answer always is yes, of course I can, even if I haven't got a clue how to do it.
And then you go and work out how to do it and get an outsourcer to do it.
Exactly.
Well, he's a proper entrepreneur, isn't he? Well, thank you very much for your time, Rob. I've learnt a lot, and hope everyone at home's learnt a lot. Thank you.
Welcome.